Baruch Ata Asherah Anat Malacha Ha'olam Asher Kedishani B'mitzvotav V'tzivani L'hitati Flatzitzit. What's going on? That's why we do vocal warm-ups. Let's try that one more time. How's everyone doing today? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our morning ritual. Don't need that. Just need these two. So, today we're going to say some words from the book of Deuteronomy and from the story Atrahasis, Babylonian flood myth, and from the Bhagavad Gita, and a few other places besides. We'll say some words together, and that will be the start of our day. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta et Anat Elohecha uv'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'chayu advarim ha'ele asher noachim mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha v'vitecha v'lechtecha chavaderch uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות ביניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. וחיה, כי Ki v'achayu Elohecha el ha'artz asher nisbai levotecha le'avram Yitzchak ul Yaakov letet lach avrim gedolot v'tovot asher lo vanita uvati mileim kol tuva asher lemilata uvurot atzuvim asher lo hasatva ke'arim v'zitim asher lenatata ve'alachta ve'shavata hishamer lecha pen tishkach et Yahweh asher tishacha mi'eretz Mitzrayim mibet avadim. You shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words, which I am repeating to you today, teach them to your children and recite them when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night and when you are traveling on the road and when you are at home. You shall inscribe them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead. And inscribe them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. And when Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you did not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Remember that we live on stolen land, friends. I say that every day to remind myself. The world is what it is, full of wealth and suffering simultaneously. Good morning, Dr. Punk. How are you doing today? Boop, boop. So, we will continue today to read from this story, Atrahasis. Atrahasis is Noah. But he hasn't entered the scene yet, even though the story is named after him. Right? Because what we have gone through so far in this story is that there were two groups of gods, the Anunnaki and the Igigi, in ancient Mesopotamia, before the kingdom of Babylon. And the Igigi were slaves, and they were commanded to dig out the riverbeds of the Tigris and the Euphrates. And at one point they revolted. They said, "We don't want to do this anymore. We've been digging these riverbeds for thousands of years, for well on millennia. Enough is enough. We do not want to be oppressed anymore." So they surround the house of Enlil, and they say, "We don't want to do this work." And so the Anunnaki confer with one another, and they say, "Okay, you know what we'll do? We will create a new race, a new kind of being, and they will be the slaves, and we will call them humans." And so then they enlist the help of some midwife goddesses, and the midwife goddesses make humanity, and that's where we left off. Let's see. Then Mommy raised her voice, speaking to the high gods. "I have done precisely the task that was given me to do, and you have slain a god altogether with his mind. Now I have brought you release from your tiresome tasks, and I have caused your burdens to be shifted onto mankind, while you have given humanity the capacity for speaking. Thus I've released the bonds and brought you freedom." Hearing every word spoken with relief, they kissed her feet. "Until now we had referred to you by the name of Mommy, but henceforth you shall be called the Mistress of all the gods." Then astute Enki, the wise Mommy, went to the abode of fate. And the wise Mommy went to the abode of fate. There the womb goddesses had already gathered together, and there he stomped upon the clay pile while she stood by. So she chanted the spells, Enki, who was there, asked her to. When she had finished, she pulled off 14 bits of clay, setting the 7 bits on her right and 7 bits on her left, and midway between the columns she set there a mud brick. And then she slit open a stiff reed and severed the umbilical. Then called over the clever and worldly womb goddesses. Here 7 and 7 were the 7 males and 7 females, for the womb goddesses were the determiners of destiny. So he covered each pair, and he covered them as she looked, and Mami set forth the following customs for the people. Within the dwelling of the woman who is the one bearing, there shall be the mud brick placed there for 7 full days. Then there will be a tribute to Belet Ili, the sagacious Mami, and joy in the midwife's heart within the new mother's home. After bearing her baby, then the mother will separate herself. Thus the man will be paired with the girl, who is yet a virgin, only after maturing, when her bosom has fully developed, and when the young man's beard is seen upon his cheek. Within the gardens and paths she will find her husband. And the womb goddess came together there with Nintu, and they counted every one of the months as they went by, assigning the 10th month to be the designated duration Then, after the full term, upon the arrival of the 10th month, she would deftly manage a measure and open the womb, and her expression would be one of joy and satisfaction. I've lost all of you. I read this old story and I lose all of you. So they're making people out of clay, right? The goddesses are making people out of clay, and yet they are artificially creating the menstrual cycle from reeds and calendars. Very Mesopotamian. And her expression would be one of joy and satisfaction, and she would drape her head and take the role of midwife. Then she would secure her belt, speak aloud a blessing, and spread flour into a picture, and set out a mud brick. I was the one who created. My hands the ones which made. The midwife will be joyous in the nursing priestess's house. Anywhere a woman gives birth, and the mother is separated, then there shall be a mud brick placed for fully 9 days, and the womb goddess Nintu shall receive her due honors. Then she will utter the name of the undying mother, Mami, and likewise she will speak the name of the womb goddess, and spread out a cloth of linen where the house bed is made. And we will leave it at that for now, right? Interesting, these stories, they move all over the place, right? Like just yesterday, we were in the middle of a battle, right? There were these two warring clans of gods, and they couldn't find peace, and they come up with this solution that they're going to make a new kind of human, and then this is how they make the new kind of human. They're very vividly, but also metaphorically, poetically describing the birth process out of mud brick, right? Mud brick, the foundation of that ancient civilization. I just finished reading a book called The Red Tent. Have any of you heard of that book? Maybe. It came out in the 90s. It's like Genesis fan fiction, but it's about midwifery. A lot of it is about midwifery, and that book also talks about the bricks that the women would stand on when they were giving birth. I suppose it was a Near Eastern tradition. Or maybe the person who wrote The Red Tent just read this book and was like, yes, it says it in Atrahasis, I'll put it in my thing, and there's no historical precedence for it whatsoever. I don't know. In any case, I like reading creation stories. I think they're important. They give me a sense of context and place. Hi. Have a sip? I just finished reading about the creation of humans with mud bricks by the midwife goddess named Mami.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, neither did I. Also, the chat has been extremely quiet today. No one has said anything the entire time, which is very unusual. Thanks for the sip.
You're welcome.
And it's time for Arati now. Arati. The word Arati means flame in Sanskrit, or light. Here's our little light flame. That's my knee.
I'll see you later.
You see me later?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's
It's a
okay.
little disappointing, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, Mama Cat. So, now we will say Arati. Arati goes like this. Jaya Jayarti Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarti Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarti Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jayavati Venkantaramana Sankatarana Sitarama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayavati Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari, Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati, Mahakali and Mahashakti. Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya, Anjaneya Hanumanta, Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya, Dattatreya Trimurti Avatara, Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya, Adityaya Bhaskaraya, Jaya Jaya Arati Sanistaraya, Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya, Jaya Jaya Arati Sankarachaya, Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave, Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata, Sadgurunata Shivananda, Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye, Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye, Jaya Jaya Arati Ayapa Samine, Ayapa Samine Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, Samastya Guru Bho Namaha, Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala. Natatra Suyobati Natandra Karatam Nima Vidyobati Kutaya Magni Drameva Bantamidamandi Sarvam Tasya Basya Samitam Vivanti Om Gange Karamane Karva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhi Karvari Hiya Namastitam Namo Namaha. Thank you, Paige. You changed your little avatar icon. It's no longer a goat, now it's a dog. Tvameva mata, chapita tomeva, tvameva bandusha saka tomeva, tvameva vidya javinam tomeva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Kayena vacha, manasendriyarva, putyatmanava prakrite sabhavad, karomi adyad, mangalam parasmahe, narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarvadhamam pravichaya mamikam sarvanam vrija, aham sva sarva papayo mokshaya mimasucha. Oh gosh, what have I done? The chat box is off, only a subscription option. What silliness. I thought that meant something different. They turned on the subscription feature, right? So that potentially I can make a living doing this, except I won't. But I didn't realize what that was. Let me change that right away. Ugh, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what that meant. More settings. Comment settings. Okay. Alright. I turned it off. My apologies. I thought that meant that subscribers could give like extra comments. Oh wow, that's my favorite one. Yeah, I thought it meant that subscribers could give extra special comments or something that I would see, like bold or something. Delete poll. But apparently I just don't know how to use this platform. Well, my mistake. Anyway, now, if you want, you can subscribe to this live stream, which means that you send me some arbitrary amount of cash because you like what I do, which was already an option, right? The link in my bio has been there for 2 years to do Patreon, or you can send me tips, and I don't like shilling things, right? Like, I don't like trying to sell things, so I basically never mention it. And just rely on your unasked for generosity. But I suppose now, at the end of the stream, I ought to be like, don't forget, you could subscribe if you want to support the show, because, that's professional. In any case, it doesn't really matter. We're saying prayers. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you. Hello. Good morning, Dr. Punk. Thanks for setting me straight. I appreciate it. Thanks for the flowers. I appreciate those too. Hi. Y'all are really sweet. Okay. Well, so we can wrap up today. I guess today's going to be short because I didn't turn on the chat, so there was nothing anyone could say to communicate with me, and so I didn't get distracted. I just ran through all the prayers. Boop, 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 boop. But we're going to say one more. We're going to say Kaddish. And, yeah, we will remember what we have lost. Breakfast today? Oh gosh. What's going on? I'm not going to eat breakfast on screen today, because I didn't cook any rice. I'm going to go downstairs, because there's been really good food downstairs lately, so my pattern has changed. But I imagine once it gets cold again, and I won't want to go downstairs as much, I will start having breakfast here again. Thank you for those garland head pizzas. I really like them. Yeah, so we're going to say Kaddish, a prayer of mourning, a prayer of grief, to remind ourselves what once was that no longer is, and to accept that reality is no longer this reality, but that this reality is also okay. The word Kaddish means holy, or prayer, or sacred, or in some iterations, an ancient city in Syria, or a goddess of sex and death, or a sacred prostitute on the Temple Mount, or any number of things. But Paige, Paige, you're really sweet. Thanks for subscribing. You set the price point, right? Like it's totally arbitrary, because I don't think I set in like how much a subscription costs. Thank you, Paige. Yeah, so now you get this little banner, right? And it looks like I made it look like a little bird. Wee wee. Thanks for subscribing, Paige. I hope you find it worth it. I guess I have to set a new subscriber. I wanted to get 1 subscriber today, and I did. I succeeded. So I'll set a new goal for like 5 or something. It's $5.99, and you just did per month, or you can do reoccurring monthly. They just set a standard rate. Well, good to know. Thank you for letting me know about features that I should be informed about myself. TikTok rolled this out. They rolled it out in a very funny way. Like I was invited by one of my mutuals who has it's a foraging account, Witch Betty, and she gave me an invite to do this, to have this live feature, and then like that's how they're rolling it out. Like they're letting creators give it to other creators, so it's all a little bit cryptic. So I didn't understand how it was shaped. And you just did per month. So you're a subscriber for 1 month. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I guess they wanted it to be social, right? So, like, what they got me to do, like, their little method got me to message in, because they gave me 5 invites. So I invited 5 of 5 creators that I follow, that I really like. And I had a little chat with each of them yesterday of like, oh, are you going to be using this subscriber feature? Blah, 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 right? Like, they did this, like, interesting social networking thing. They didn't just send me an announcement in my inbox. They got a real human, who isn't an employee of TikTok, to do it for them, because they had a feeling that would be more compelling. And I think it is, but I still don't know how to use this feature. Like, I still didn't know that it would be $5.99. Like, they didn't tell me that. Yeah, I do, on some level, appreciate that they are trying to give creators tools to actually, like, substantially connect with their audience and be supported by them. Like, I am really grateful, Paige, for your presence here. Yeah, I mean, not that Patreon is hard, right, but, like, it's just a little bit more friction-y, right? Yeah, Patreon is, like, 8 clicks, whereas this is 1 click. Yeah, so, you know, I'll use whatever tools work. There is this kind of, like, fragmentation of income streams, right? Like, I've got, like, a little bit of money from Patreon, and a little bit of money from tips, and a little bit of money from subscriptions, and it's, like, all over the place, and then I have to do accounting for it, but, like, can't complain. Yeah, I can't complain, because at the bottom line, like, y'all are just really great, and I really like that I get to spend my morning with you all. Like, it makes a big difference in my life. I hope it makes a difference in your life, too. Okay, so enough about content monetization. It's very boring. I wish I never had to think about content monetization again. And I wish I could just make content instead. Which is better for me? I prefer Patreon. I don't know. It's like I prefer Patreon just because I've had my mind in Patreon for a long time. Like I've been running a Patreon account for 5 years, right? And like I've swallowed Jack Conti's Kool-Aid, and I've put labor into like thinking about how Patreon works. But like I actually haven't been terribly successful at using Patreon, and it may be that the native TikTok subscription service is easier to use and more effective. It's certainly simpler, right? I don't have to make a separate account or do other kind of interactions. Yes, I still have my Patreon. My Patreon's been up for quite a long time. And like the thing is, to play a Patreon game well, like I haven't been playing it well. Like I have to do the same thing. I have to like remind people like, hey, I've got Patreon, and like have rewards and do the things. Dr. Punk, oh, thanks, Dr. Punk. You're really sweet too. I appreciate you both so much. Yeah, So I don't actually know the answer. Like I'm trying this out because like there are things about Patreon that have been difficult for me to get traction on. So maybe this will be better. Boom. Thanks, Dr. Punk. Yeah, I don't know the best way to monetize it. Like the thing that I like about Patreon is the way. You're great. The thing that I like about Patreon is like the way that it was originally rolled out like a decade ago is like community building, right? And that's how I've always seen it. And so like Patreon does this thing where they can natively link it to Discord. Like that's what I originally did with Patreon. It's like I monetized the Discord, said you can join the Patreon and then you can get access to this Discord server. But that paywall proved to be too onerous for people, and Discord wasn't attractive enough. Mr. Jacob Toe, you really toe a line. Yeah, so I turned that on, and then no one signed up, and the Discord, like, got really quiet and empty, and I was like, well, why am I running a community if no one wants to be a part of it? So I turned off the monetization of Discord, and then people started joining the Discord server again, and I like the server better now, because, like, there's more people, and it's more active, and it feels more like a community. So, like, there are these things, like monetization and community building, and ideally they would be one and the same. And, like, I have seen examples of that done really effectively, and parts of online communities where, like, the monetization is pretty critical, because it creates a sense of in-group and solidarity. But this group of people here is too diffuse for that to really work. So I don't know. I've tried a lot of different things. I haven't really been exactly successful, and I'm going to keep trying, because ultimately I do this because I love you all, right? Like, I like being here in this position. I like saying these words with you. I like making art. And then there's all of this, like, business end stuff. But it's not just business end stuff. Like, how do you do community organizing well? And, like, I live on a commune. You'd think I would know how to organize a community effectively, but it's just really, really, really hard. Like, the hardest thing I've ever done is live in community. And translating it online is also really hard. Yes, and now you have little mushroom emojis. Yes, you get all sorts of little perks. There's mushroom emojis and Ouroboros emojis. I think there's a dumpster emoji, although that one might have been too small. Yeah, you can do that one. Yeah, Ouroboros. So that's the original. You see, the one that I put on my hand is I changed the aspect ratio so it would fit on my hand better. But the original one, that one's from the Chrysiopoeia of Cleopatra, and it says in Greek, all is one. So that's the primary source emoji, is that one. No dumpster one, unfortunately. Okay, I will add a dumpster emoji at some point. Good morning, Dudette. Your youngest child has started school. That's a really big deal. So they're not home all day? That's like a big change in your schedule. Thanks, Sarah. I like it too. I'm very proud of it. It took us 2 hours. I don't know why we didn't do it before. It's been a long time coming. Rin always complains that there's too many boots in the door, and so they wanted to build a deck so that we could have another door so that the boots could go in a different place and there would be less clutter. I think it's going to be a good move. It takes so long to build things in communes because there's too many people and too many opinions, and initiative is hard, and you always run the risk of being criticized for making changes like that. But I think everybody likes the little deck that we added. So, all right. I'm glad y'all are here. I'm really glad y'all are here. Thanks. I'm glad that you told me that I had chat turned off. That's very silly. Very silly. So, shall we conclude with Kaddish? I think it's about time to conclude with a Kaddish. Prayer of mourning goes like this. Yidkadal v'yidkadash Shema Rabbah B'yama divrach yute v'yamlich malchute B'chayachon v'yamechon v'chaye dekol be'Yisrael B'agala v'zman karev v'imru Amen. Yehi Shema Rabbah mev'arach li'olam olmei olmaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yirmam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shema de Kudisha b'richu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechemata D'amiran v'yama v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlamar Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mirmam huya aseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mirmav huya aseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru Amen. And that concludes our morning ritual for the day. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for subscribing. I am surprised. I'm happily surprised that the feature actually works. Like, it does make a difference in my life. Like, I have a job at the university for the next year, but after that I'm not going to be employed at the university anymore. So I can't handle it. So I will at some point become a full-time content creator. And at that point I will start asking more in earnest. Yeah, I'll raise the goal. Thank you, Paige. I really... See, the problem is, I say this all the time, I literally don't have words. Like, I don't know how to put into words the particular sense of gratitude that I have for you all being here so consistently. Right, like it's weird, right? Because my understanding of you is screen based, but nonetheless, you're like these real humans who are really in my life and are like clearly substantially impacting it, and I'm very, very grateful. But there aren't linguistic precedents besides me saying thank you all the time, right? But I'm so grateful. Yeah, so. Thanks for the using the subscription feature that I just got access to. I do think it's going to make a bit of a difference, and hopefully it'll allow me to give you all more attention than I have been. So I will see you here tomorrow to say these words once more, and until then I hope you have a really lovely day. Okay, farewell.